Hi everyone, welcome back to Lockdown Lessons part 43 now. With me today I've got Paul Bailey from Bailey Ahmed. Firstly, I'd just like to say a big hello to you, Paul.
Hello, thanks for having me, Philip.
No problem at all, no problem at all. So for the people that are actually watching this right now, perhaps you could just give us a quick introduction as to what you do and what Bailey Ahmed do.
Sure. In the main, I help business owners and entrepreneurs deal with businesses that are struggling financially. These businesses are usually undercapitalised and have built up debts that they're unable to pay. After qualifying as a licensed insolvency practitioner over 15 years ago, I co-founded a boutique corporate recovery practice called Bailey Ahmed Business Recovery with my business partner, Tom Ahmed. Our toolbox of solutions enable me to advise and help businesses to restructure and agree a structured payment plan with creditors, usually via a company voluntary arrangement, or, which is prevalent in most circumstances, just simply help the business owner to close a business that has no prospect of survival, using a process called a creditor's voluntary liquidation. With our assistance, directors and business owners can minimise criticism, potential personal liability, and also potential director disqualification. But we also help business owners that have successful companies and they'd like to close and extract the surplus assets in a tax-efficient manner, usually paying entrepreneurs relief as a return of capital rather than the higher tax rates that would arise if they extracted the surplus assets as income. This process is a solvent liquidation called a members voluntary liquidation, and the majority of our engagements are liquidations, whether they be solvent or insolvent, depending upon the specific circumstances.
Got it. Fantastic. That was a really good summary. Thanks very much, Paul. So if we could cast our mind back to sort of March last year, or even just before that, at what point were you watching the news thinking, this could be a little bit of a problem coming up here?
Yeah, I'll answer this question in two parts. It was probably about 7 to 10 days before the first lockdown, when we realised that there was going to be a lockdown eventually, and we had to ensure that our team could all work remotely from home. That was obviously a huge exercise, and our IT people were fantastic, helping each team member get set up to work from home. With regards to the practice, the ABR, the impact wasn't immediate because we were quite fortunate to be appointed on a very large case in the days just before the lockdown. So our team were working on that assignment until towards the end of last year. So there were no immediate problems to our business commercially. However, given the grants and loans that have been handed out by the Chancellor, also directors have had very little reason to contact us for advice. So it's only been recently that we've seen a sort of a drop off in the number of formal insolvent appointments that we've been undertaking towards the end of last year and early this year. As the economy has reopened from the latest lockdown in 2021, we've started to get busier, and we anticipate getting very busy in Q4 after furlough comes to an end. And then behind the scenes, in order to be ready for the influx of new clients, we've been working hard to enhance the capability of our team.
Good. I suppose when we went into full lockdown, how did you adapt to the new way of working, I suppose?
So we realised that, and actually we adapted fairly well. We're a small team, and actually our team have really enjoyed work from home. So at the moment, we're trying to adapt the business and our systems to carry on being a remote working business, or a hybrid with possibly a sort of snazzy office that we can have access to, that the team can turn up and see each other and work together, maybe 1 or 2 days a week, possibly in central London, given the location of where our team live. That will mean an end to our current offices in Beckenham, possibly. So given that, we're really concentrating on improving our client onboarding, which is a current exercise we've been trying to improve upon. It's just more difficult for clients to interact with us when we're not in the same room in Beckenham.
Yeah, I understand that. A lot of businesses I've been speaking to are very similar to yours. They're reviewing their office arrangements, and they want to come up with an idea that's going to work for them going forward. So what wins have you actually had since lockdown, the first lockdown began, Paul, should I say?
Yeah, the best answer is actually our team. They've really embraced the new working conditions that the pandemic created. And strangely also, the challenges have brought me and my business partner, Tom, closer together. I think we'd had a really good run of it for a long period of time prior to the pandemic, and we're both in a holding pattern, and the pandemic's brought us closer together whilst we've worked to deal with the challenges that it brought to a professional services practice.
Fantastic. That's good news. I always ask that question. So it's really good to focus on the positives. It's too easy to go into the doom and gloom of every bad thing that's happened. And actually, there have been some great things that have happened coming out of lockdown, which is brilliant. So, what would you say the biggest issues that you've had to overcome in the last sort of 21 months?
I think most professional services businesses would probably come up with the same answer. It's really communication. You realise just how easy it was to communicate within the confines of a small office where we all worked between 9 and 5 every day. Now we need to have the systems and processes to reflect the flexibility that work from home brings, and at the same time ensuring that clients can contact us as easily as they did previously.
Yeah, that's a fantastic answer, and I agree with that 100%, being the professional services industry myself. So have there been any changes that you've actually put into place during lockdown, or any of the lockdowns, that you're actually going to carry on with?
Well, I guess the biggest change is the team really sort of dictating how well they like the flexibility of working from home. So the biggest change will be to remain a remote working business and not to look towards going back into Beckenham.
Fantastic. And I suppose that brings me on to the next question. Is there anything that you would have done sooner had you known the positive effects of what you've done during lockdown?
I probably remortgaged the house and invested in healthcare. But no, seriously, with regards to the Ahmed business recovery, I think it would have been great to have really known what we know now about home working. It's been a long, slow drip feed of working out what works, what doesn't, what systems and processes are out there to help achieve that. If we'd had that knowledge at the outset, it would have been far more easier. Yeah,
I agree. Hindsight's a brilliant thing, isn't it? So what about so what would you say is the number one thing you've learned about yourself during the last sort of 21 months?
Generally, I'm a positive person, but I had to stop myself getting bogged down in the detail about the virus. In the early days, like most people, I was watching every Downing Street presentation, and you learn that no one really has all of the answers, and ultimately we just need to get back to living as normally as possible, as the virus is here to stay. My realization is I'm very much into looking after what I can control and try not to worry too much about what I can't control.
That's a great answer, and I have that conversation quite frequently with a few of my clients as well, as you can imagine. So what was the number one thing then on a personal level that you did when lockdown was relieved that you couldn't do but now you can do? And what did you do with your time?
Yeah, I can't remember what I did after the first lockdown, but certainly the second lockdown that ended a few months ago. The day after the restrictions were lifted, I played golf with some golf buddies. And it was just great being in the great outdoors, the golf course open. It was a very slow round, but none of us cared. But it was very strange, those first sort of 10, 15 minutes together, whilst you weren't allowed in the clubhouse, we were all a little bit sort of standoffish. But after a couple of holes, it was as if everything was back to normal. It was a really enjoyable time just to be out socialising and seeing people.
Yeah, and it makes you appreciate what you couldn't have before, right? And I think we're a bit more grateful in our lives at the moment. Now we can pretty much do everything, which is great. So final two questions, I suppose, for you, Paul. If your ideal customer is watching this, what does your ideal customer look like, and how can you help them?
Well, I mean, having started a business from scratch myself, I know exactly. I have lots of respect for anyone that's gone into business and taken the plunge. They're very brave people. I love dealing with entrepreneurial people that work out quite early on that a certain business isn't going to work, so they take steps to extract themselves from it and close it and move on to other projects. My ideal customer, however, are accountants in practice that really care for their clients in good times as well as bad, as the majority of our introductions come from accountants, and it's their client base that require our services from time to time.
Lovely, thank you very much. So if any of those accountancy practices or if there's anyone that actually wants to contact you coming off the back of this short interview, how best can they reach you, Paul?
Well, I'm on the move quite a lot, so I tend to do most of my work on my mobile phone, whether it's taking calls, answering emails, or text messages, etc. But if anyone needs some advice or my help, then I would suggest that they visit our website at www.babr.co.uk. My contact details are included. The services that we provide are detailed. There's lots of little videos and stuff. And I'm always happy to provide an initial confidential consultation without charge or obligation.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Paul. It's been a pleasure speaking to you as always. And yeah, catch up soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.